Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. This is the top 10 tips, tricks, recommendations, hints, suggestions, awareness, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. Definitely appreciate it. Before we jump into the top 10, I got something going on over here. Stealing some yeast. That video will be coming out soon. Drinking a nice Ukrainian wit beer. Belgian wit from Ukraine. Very, very good. That'll be coming out too. And beers from around the world or something like that. It's a whole new series I'm working on. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this. And as you also see, I got another beer up here, and hopefully we'll get those videos out here soon. It's been a little crazy with the moving. I had to put everything back, but in boxes, because it wasn't absorbing the light and it was making me very washed out and bright from the reflections. We're going to jump right into number one. And I know you're all going to look at me like I'm a little crazy again, but if you've used it, you understand what I'm talking about. On the disconnect, Star San as a lube. Yes, he said Star San as a lube. Occasionally these things, I'm going to put it on and I can't get it to go down, and I don't know why. Not only is it don't keep things clean and keep from anything messing things up, put a little Star San on there. Oops. I had water in there from before I was doing something, but yeah, it goes right on. Now, if you're taking this in the bedroom, I feel for you, I'm sorry. But Star San as a lube works great. Whenever I'm trying to connect something, get connected, I've told you with the tap cooler, when you're shoving that in that hole there, you want to put a little Star San on it, lube it up, shove it in, all good. Number two, pressure fermentation. Why? I'm gonna hiding up here. Why? Why would you want to pressure ferment? It allows for a slightly higher fermentation temps with reduced esters, fossil fuels, aromas, flavors, reduces your CO2 costs because you're actually carbonating it in the container, the pressure. And when you move it to keg, all you do is get it cold and drink. That actually, I didn't realize how much CO2 that was actually saving me. Plus it saves time. I don't want to have to, speed do it in an hour where I'm using a lot of CO2 and I have a lot of extra things to clean. I, crank it way up, and even Blickman says you shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't give you the proper CO2. Or waiting a week and letting it come up to carbonation. No, I'm cold crash that bad boy, boom, I'm good. I can start drinking it. Did that with the double IPA, it was amazing. Number three, pressure fermentation. Why not? Yeah, there's reasons you don't want to pressure ferment. Avoid using pressure fermentation for things like Belgian beers and other beers that benefit from esters and phenols, and you just want all of that. I mean, come on, if I pressure fermented this wit, I wouldn't have all that nice esters going on, and it would hurt. So when we did the Saison, I put it in that, but it didn't pressure ferment. I screwed up and I was happy to not do it once I started reading things like that. Now, I will tell you, I will need to do some testing. I haven't done any testing, but I'm not sure when it comes to like the Norwegian quake yeasts. But at higher temps, you may or may not, and I suspect you probably would not get as much of that fruity flavor. It would probably be subdued. I just don't know how much. But if you're doing, a lager at about 65, 70 in there, you should be fine. There's certain yeasts, not all yeasts, of course. Some of them require 45, 50 Fahrenheit. If you're using quake yeast and you're hitting around 70 and you pressure fermenting, that's probably gonna be one of the cleanest lager tasting beers you've ever made. So using an ale yeast, which is kind of cool. And I almost spilt that. That would have been bad. I love this glass, but I rarely use it. So, number four, consider long-term goals. And we'll back up. When buying home brewing equipment, think long-term. Is it the best value for you long-term? Will it benefit what you're trying to eventually accomplish in your home brewing setup? It sucks to waste money, turn around and go, man, I should have held off, or oh, man, I should have bought that instead. Or, I saved $20, but it's not quite what I really wanted. Spend a little extra, get what you know long-term is going to be the best benefit. We talked about size matters. And don't buy that small one because you can't afford another 40 or 50 for the bigger pot. And you're eventually going to need it. Just wait, get the bigger pot, or maybe you get lucky and there's a big sale and it won't be that much of a difference. Number five, ingredients are everything. Freshness matters. The quality of the beer is relative to the quality of the ingredients used. Always go for the freshest, best possible whenever possible. And I know sometimes, and I have plenty of specialty greens that take me a little while to go through sometimes. Not too worried. I know that if I bought it and used it immediately, and my provider's getting it, gives it to me, and we're talking weeks between getting it and using it, it would be amazing. but my beer's getting better and better and better, and I'm loving it, and I am going through my grains a little faster. The yeast, that's another issue. I like to keep my yeast going. If I'm a little concerned, then yeah, maybe I'll buy some fresh. So I'll stick to that. But ingredients make it. If you're using bad ingredients, bad water, bad this, bad that, of course, it's gonna be bad beer. So no matter how good you are. Number 6, first brewers. First time brewing, second, third, fourth, whatever. When you first start brewing, start with ales and consider even darker ales. Why? Because they hide mistakes better. Light lagers, light ales, they're gonna let any kind of mistakes or any kind of problems with fermentation, temperature control, things like that, shine, and not in a good way. It's gonna be like, yeah, I got that metallic taste, or ooh, it tastes like a Band-Aid, or ooh, it tastes like this, or ooh, it doesn't taste like anything I expected it to taste like. So, first brewing, when you're gonna brew your first beer, consider a dark beer, consider an ale, definitely. Don't go crazy. And number 7 leads right into that same thing. Keep it simple for new brewers. Keep it simple, keep it simple. Overly complicating things is more likely to end poorly, although you may learn a lot. So keeping things simple, and I'm definitely one of those people. I know I tell people keep it simple, and I start overcomplicating things, and I catch myself most of the time, and I step back and start over. I just did it recently. I was building this crazy beer, and I was having all kinds of problems, and all of a sudden a light bulb went off, and I said, you know what, I could do it a different way, and it'll be much simpler, much easier, and I know I should be able to get a little better accuracy on my numbers, because Brewfather and Beersmith were a million miles apart, and I was putting in the same ingredients, same everything, and I'm missing something somewhere, and I'm not that fluent on Brewfather yet, so it's probably something I'm missing there, but the numbers were so far off I couldn't imagine it. So yeah, found a simpler way, and hey, keeping things simple is gonna make it a little easier and probably doable. Number 8, backup yeast, backup yeast, backup yeast. You've heard me say a million times when I'm doing a brew that I've got 4, 3 at minimum, 6, 8 yeast going. Sometimes it's just because I'm trying to repopulate some yeast. I got yeast going right here that I captured from something, so, or stole, however you want to look at it. Backup yeast. You never know when you pitch that yeast and it's just not going to take off, especially when you're still getting new to brewing. You're looking at it and you just think it's working when really that yeast has been dead and it's not doing any repopulation, and you're trying to get that starter going and you pitch it and the beer just sits there and never does anything. If you have a backup yeast, you chuck it in. High Gravity from White Labs is a good backup yeast, just in case you're on the higher end and things just stop fermenting early. You can always put a little bit of that in there, and hopefully it'll get you where it may not help add any flavors, it may take away a little, I don't know. It's pretty neutral, but still at the same time, it's something to be aware of. When trying to learn, number 9, when trying to learn new things, check your ego at the door. Not a fan of anybody with a big ego, especially if they don't have the, how do you say, the galls to stand behind it and do what they say they can do. So just because you drink a lot of craft beer doesn't mean you're a professional craft beer brewer. I heard that and thought that was freaking hilarious. Yes, freaking hilarious. Just because you drink a lot of craft beer doesn't mean you're a professional craft brewer. Love it. Open your mind. Now, the quote wasn't exactly that, but I twisted a little bit. Open your mind, allow yourself to learn new things. From home brew shops, professional brewers, classes online or in person, if you're lucky enough, books, other sources. I mentioned before, I'm always on there trying to learn new things. I'm watching these videos, going through training. I can't remember, I'll put a link up here to what I'm talking about. As far as information up here, link down below in the description. There we go. But I'm always learning and learning. I've been learning some really deep concepts of pairing food and beer, which I hadn't even really thought of. To me, it was a much simpler way of doing it. And I still like my simpler way of doing it, but can be a lot of complexity if you really want to go there. Beer is so much more complex than wine. There are just so many different things that you can consider with a beer that in a wine would not be good. So, number 10, I've had people asking me about this. Give barrel aging a try, but let's step back, keep it simple. Consider baby steps. If you've never barrel aged, which I have not, but I have done what the baby steps are going to refer to, try adding wood chips, oak chips, the stabs, whatever you want to do. Start slow. Put that in there, let it age for a little while, see how your beer is. If you're doing the pressure fermentation, it may reduce some, I don't know, but the nice thing is if you're trying to get it in the flavor, you can, take a little carbonate it. It might not be cold, but a little carbonate and keep trying and let it age a little more before you actually decide to move it to your keg, cold crash, and go with it. But baby steps. Once you feel you're really good at it, you've got it down, you know what you're doing, buy yourself a barrel, go for it. I will tell you, barrels are expensive unless you're getting into the really big ones, and then you're gonna have to produce a lot of beer to fit in that. So, but barrels, they're definitely expensive. But like I said again, baby steps. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing, the top 10 tips, tricks, recommendations, hacks, suggestions, awareness, whatever it may be. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. Definitely appreciate the support. Thank you again.